liberty, and justice for all. Real quick, Nicole Gagnon, you see her online. She is our recording secretary. She checked with me to make sure that this was all right for her to do it this way tonight. I said yes.
Absolutely.
Also, Kelly O'Brien, the fifth board member, is also online. And I see Lisa Slade, DeForest Beers, Malia Cordero, and can everybody hear us okay?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole, you especially, you hear us okay?
I hear you.
Okay, thank you, dear. I just wanted to make absolutely certain that the minutes taker could hear us. Okay, agenda review. Anything on the agenda that anybody wants to discuss changing or moving around? I will say that in dealing with the agenda tonight, because of the weather, I'm going to watch discussion closely. And not that I'm not going to allow discussion, but I'm probably going to cut off any discussion that goes into making the same point repetitively in any way, and do it to me too. Dave, you're vice chair, so if I do it, shut me up too. So we can get out of here at a reasonable hour tonight. Thank you.
Move to adjourn.
Comments from select board, town manager, citizens, topics not on the agenda. Select board. Go, Dave.
I see down here through the list, you've got CLA discussion. I made the school board meeting a week ago. So do you want to tie that into that, or how do you want to do that? I can share what I know and what I don't know.
Yes, because that is a school-related discussion, Dave, and I don't see it on here anywhere else.
No, do you want to go there, or you just want to give like I can give you a couple of sentences right now.
No, let's do it under the CLA.
Okay.
Thanks. Anybody else, select board? Town manager?
Hold on, I think Kelly's talking.
Oh, Kelly, go ahead, I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Or somebody's microphone's on.
I can hear you.
Okay, somebody has a microphone on in the audience.
Can you look, Olivia?
I do.
Oh, okay, you might want to shut that off while you're not talking.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep, thank you. I think we could hear your TV or radio or whatever in the background. Okay, comments from citizens, topics not on the agenda. Anybody online have anything they'd like to address the board with? I'm giving time, because sometimes it takes a minute for people to find the right buttons and get through to us. Okay.
Where is this document that we've got in front of us going to come in on the discussion? I don't see it, so I'm.
That's a good question. Would have to be other business at this point, because we're already past the agenda.
Okay.
Review the minutes, previous meetings, 1/2/24 and 1/8/24. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of 1/2/24 with corrections as necessary?
Yes, so moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded on the minutes for 1/2/24. 1/2/24, let's see if I got the right ones. Yes. I did see something in here that I had a question on. These things. Okay, so it's item 6, police cruiser bids. I think it would be the third paragraph, which is the second paragraph when you're on page 3 of 65, for those of you using a tablet. The chief of police presented his plan if the cruiser is purchased, how the police would every other year purchase a new car. Wasn't that every 2 years?
I don't know.
I thought I heard them say it might be 3 or 4 years till they need the next one, but then it would be every other year.
So it was every other, so that is correct. Okay, Nicole, that's verified with the recording, correct? I just wanted to make sure it's correct, that's all. Nicole, are you there?
Did we lose signal or?
No. Malia, can you hear us?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you guys fine.
Okay.
Sorry, I lost my little Zoom button. I have like a million tabs open.
Okay.
But I wonder if we lost Nicole, who's the secretary. That's
No, she
kind
just
of,
said she's on. She's good.
Nicole, so is that correct? Every other year was was
That's
correct?
what I believe I heard, but if you guys, they might have said that in the beginning, like for the first year, it might take a couple of years.
And that's what August heard.
Okay.
So, okay, all right, sounds like that's correct. That was the only thing I had saw that I wanted to check on. Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes of 1/2/24 signify by saying aye. Aye.
I,
Thank you, Kelly. It's unanimous. The minutes are accepted. Motion to approve the minutes of 1/8/24 with corrections if necessary. Do I hear that motion?
I move to approve the minutes of 1/8/24.
Do I hear a second?
I will second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes, 1/8/24. Any discussion on those minutes?
I was absent for this one, so I'll stay out.
Okay, I will remind you that you don't have to because it is a document that can be read, and if you see something, you're completely entitled to making changes and voting on the document. It is just minutes. So, but that's fine, whatever you choose. And I didn't see anything in these that raised any questions to me. This is the short meeting where we adjusted the budget. Any further discussion on 1/8/24?
I do have a question on item number 4. Am I reading that to say that the flags were expended from the general fund balance from 6/30 to 2023?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor of the minutes of 1/8/24 signify by saying aye.
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 I,
It is unanimous. The minutes of 1/8/2024 are carried. 2024 Flood Resilient Communities Fund. This you, Brandon?
Malia.
This is Malia. Thank you. Malia, you're up.
Hey there. Was Ray able to make it to the meeting tonight, or is he busy with the roads?
No problem.
Yeah, he is busy with the roads. He may be here or he may not.
Okay, no problem. So my name's Malia. For those of you that haven't met me, I work at the Manistee Regional Commission, which is right across the street there. We're the regional plan commission for the Southern Windsor area, so we cover 10 different towns, including Weathersfield. I'm the assistant planner there, so I work on a little bit of everything. And right now, I'm helping Ray with a application for a property buyout. Can I have screen sharing permissions? I can show you guys a few things if that's helpful.
Let me see here. Hold on 1 second,
Right there. Oh,
Malia. No?
multiple. Yep. Go ahead, Malia.
So the property that we're talking about is 130 Maple Street. Is anyone on there in this meeting familiar with this property?
Yes.
You can drive
Yes.
by or know him? Okay. So first up, I'll give you some context. Ray gave me some photos. So actually, I'll back up even further. The money that we're applying for is from the Flood Resilient Communities Fund. That is a fund that's run by the Vermont Emergency Management Department. And it's funding for projects that reduce flood risk and have a co-benefit of improving water quality. But the whole idea is to increase floodplain storage to reduce flood flows. And so the property we're talking about is 130 Maple Street, where we're looking at this structure. Ray thinks that this structure is too small and that it's causing flood risk, and that could cause potential damage to property, both on the property or adjacent, of course.
And that's running directly underneath the home, right?
Yeah,
Water.
here we go. Here's a better picture. So this runs right up through the home.
Looks like it was built that way though, because I'm familiar with the family or the origin of that. So it's nothing that has happened. If you look at the stone, it's nothing that was, just look at the construction of it, you know what I mean? I'm sure that maybe the waterfall has gotten a little bit stronger, but you can tell it was built that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I think, is this the other side of it?
Probably some of the exit from the road, you can see the cement.
Is this definitely?
It's where the water sheds, so it's part of the stream that actually sheds. So that you go with the house back. The house is the description, it is when you go online and you plug in 130 Maple Street, I think it's an acre. I think the lot size that's mapped in the town is 1 acre. If it isn't, it's a little bit more, but not much.
I can double check that quick. But Ray and I are working through this application form for the funding. And if it was funded, we would receive full funding for the entire project, which would include the acquisition and the demolition of all structures on the property, with the property to be acquired by the town and then maintained as open green space.
I want to speed things up. I got a few questions.
Yep, go ahead, Dave.
Can you, so here's what would be really helpful, and I don't know if you've gotten this far along, but is anybody living in the building now? That would be, absolutely need to be checked out. I'm not sure of that
To my
status.
knowledge, there was an inheritance. There was a house that was passed down from one property owner to another.
Well,
Now the new owner is looking for it out.
Well, that could be, but I'm just wondering whether there's any, it doesn't matter about a family transfer, I'm just wondering about residents right now. So by us even attempting to buy this out, we wouldn't displace somebody from their home. I wouldn't want to do that.
Sounds like they want to get rid of it.
Well, that could be, but I just want to double check. The second
I haven't
thing,
explicitly asked the landowner, so I can double check on that, but I don't think anyone is living there at this time. Ray sounded like they were trying to get it,
resolved.
off their plate.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then you, I think you already answered this question. There's no money that's obligated by the town? You think this is
No,
for?
it would be fully funded unless, we apply for partial funding, but in this case, we would be applying for the full funding amount. And this, these numbers are provided by Vermont Emergency Management. I'm working with one of the reps there, and he asked for the Whisters card, and based on that property information, he was able to put together an estimated project cost. So this is the amount of funding that would be applied for.
So is there a deadline, or is this just in the works?
They're accepted on a rolling basis. Right now, DEM has about $14,750,000 that was still left over from this year's legislative fiscal year, and then they should be getting another lump of funding from this coming legislative session.
Do you need any action from us?
Since it would be acquiring property, I didn't feel comfortable signing off on this particular grant application.
I'm gonna make a motion that we allow Mount Scottney Regional Planning to move forward with this application, to see where it goes, and then to work with the landowner and the potential, whatever the costs are for dismantling, and, because we need to know the complete picture in the end to accept the grant, but to allow them to move forward with the process. How's that?
Do you need to add either me or Brandon as signers on this if necessary?
Yeah, I'd
So
have to
if it doesn't
sign
have to
off
come back
on the
to the board,
application.
You could, if you,
Either the chair or the.
and I don't know,
town
that's why I asked for the deadline, and Malia just said that it's a kind of a rolling thing, and I just want to get,
Right.
I really,
If-
I don't know the demolition,
Well,
obviously.
I want to clarify the motion before you go back into discussion and then get a second on it. But I want to make sure that if there's a signature needed from the town manager, that's authorized. If there's a signature required from the select board, that you authorize me to do that, or the chair, because I might not be the chair
Yeah.
about the time this comes rolling around. You don't know yet. So,
There isn't a requirement to select board signature, but I'm happy to add it
Well,
just to show support.
well, you don't need to add it. I'm just saying if it's necessary, so it doesn't have to come back here, that you can add it if you need to. That's what I'm looking for in the motion.
But the other thing would be very important, would be that if there's a significant construction fee or whatever, then the landowner may or may not be happy with the end result. So in other words, I don't know, but you could end up with a surprise. So out of that number that we just saw, somebody could say, well, it's going to be $200,000 to, which is exactly what we ran into on this other opportunity over in Amsden,
Yeah.
where the cost of whatever was far and exceeded what the landowner was willing to accept.
Is this a matching grant application?
No, it would just be direct funding from, distributed through VEM.
Okay. Does it allow for, what are they called, in insurance terms? Supplements? In other words, if it's gonna cost more, can you add a supplement?
I can ask Brian at VEM, and he'll get back to me within a week.
Okay. Do I hear a second on the motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the motion. The motion, Dave, you want to restate that if you can?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna make the motion that we allow, Mount Scottney Regional Planning to work towards achieving this grant sum for 130 Maple Street, achieving the goals that were stated in the, application. One of the pluses for this is, we're all struggling with septic problems, and I looked this up, and it is an acre, and if it does have water running under the house, the chances are pretty good that maybe a leach field or whatever would have to, and the condition of the house, when you look at the overall thing. What I'm concerned about is making the family happy and the amount of money that would require to do that, and that nobody's living there, so we don't displace someone, obviously.
Okay, so sorry to cut you off, but on the motion, I added the language I was talking about before, which is to allow the town manager or chair to sign as may be required.
Yeah.
So that's the motion, and that is seconded, that's Dave, and that's seconded by August. Any further discussion on the motion?
And I would like this in for the discussion as well, that we make sure that we've included everybody in this process, so that we're not being heavy-handed. I just want to be careful, that somebody just says, hey, that's grandma's house and I wish I hadn't bought it.
Could we maybe ask you to include a request from the landowner in writing that just says, yes, or they gotta sign this thing, I see it's not there yet.
Yeah, there's 2 other pieces of paperwork. Ray's working with the landowner, but there's a survey that the landowner has to fill out and sign at the bottom, and that's something that I think you said you dropped it off with them, and they're working on filling that out.
And that all happens,
So that'll be part of the application package as well.
oh, okay, so that's part of the application, so we'll know that at moving
And
forward.
we do not have any policy to take down buildings like this, so that's why I want to tread lightly.
Malia, when do you plan on submitting the application?
I'm kind of hearing an update back from the landowner. So
Okay.
ideally by the end of the month.
Okay.
I'm taking it that this price represents purchasing the property, which means it's signed over to us. I thought that was, isn't that what it's saying?
Yes, that's what it said.
We're gonna purchase it, and then we're gonna demolish, and then also through the grant, we're gonna demolish it.
Well, hopefully
So it's
that number that she gave was all-inclusive.
Well,
So
that's
we don't-
what we have right now, so
Right.
that's what we know.
Right.
The
Right.
number includes, this over here. Environmental review, property appraisal, title search, insurance, closing document development, asbestos survey and remediation, property purchase, demolition, and final site work. That's all through contractors, and then management costs.
Perfect,
Which
Yep.
is
very good.
Yep.
Okay, any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is unanimous. The motion carries. Thank you, Malia.
Yeah, I'll confirm that the landowner isn't residing there, that no one else is residing there, and I'll also talk to the, about if additional funding can be added, if construction prices fluctuate between.
I know we don't want to displace anybody, and I don't want to go on for too long, but the fact is that if we're purchasing the property, once that purchase takes place, I would assume they have a certain amount of time to get out so we can move on with the plan of the day.
Well, everything is agreeable. I mean, they may be using those
Exactly.
funds to buy another house. I don't know.
That's right. So, okay, we'll see where that goes. Thanks again, Malia.
Thank you.
Village wastewater committee policy, second reading continued. What do you want to do with this, ladies and gentlemen?
I have a question, Chair.
Go.
It seems that since our last meeting where they briefed the 30% plan,
Yep.
it seemed that the engineering company had the ability to get to the next stage without significant help. And what I'm wondering is what an appropriate motion would be, or discussion on holding off on forming a committee and a committee policy when one might not be necessary.
An appropriate motion might be to table indefinitely, which would literally put this thing to sleep.
I'm not sure that you can say indefinitely.
Yep, you can. Yep. Robert's Rules of Order.
So how can you bring it back then? Somebody just brings a motion.
You'd have
say
to start all
wanna
over. You'd basically have to start all
Oh,
over.
rewarn the whole
Yep,
policy.
yeah, you'd have to, you'd basically start all over.
But it's drafted, and if at the next reading, at the next stage of the reading, we could assess at that point, okay, which direction are we gonna need to go?
If you made a date certain instead of indefinite.
Or percent certain,
Oh,
because I believe well, I know there's a 90, that we just got the 30. Is there one in?
There's one at
60?
60 and then one at 90.
Well, we also heard from some of the members that put their names in for this, that they're not sure it's,
Yeah, there was comments.
yeah, they didn't know it was necessary either. How about amending your motion to say that at the 60% we'll review this again?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, so I move.
that's fine
to
too.
Table this until the 60%
Threshold makes by Otter Creek
by
Engineering.
Otter Creek Engineering at their briefing, following their briefing.
Yes,
Do I hear a second for that motion?
yes.
Motion's been made and seconded to table this discussion until until after the report from the engineers at the 60% stage. Something like that, 60% level, I think is what you said. Nicole, I think we'll get it exactly right. It has been seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Brandon had his hand up.
Brandon?
I just, August had mentioned that Otter Creek Engineering, I just wanted to let you guys know that we're switching engineering firms right now from Otter Creek to MSK. Our engineer resigned from Otter Creek and was hired with MSK as a senior engineer. So both firms agreed to make this transfer. So just don't put Otter Creek at 60% because it'll be MSK.
Okay.
Why don't we just say the engineering firm?
Okay, that's
Motion for the engineering firm, seconds, okay? All right, so the motion is amended. Technically, that requires a vote all by itself. If you amend the motion, you have to actually have a motion to amend and.
Okay, motion to, move to amend to state engineering firm.
Second on that?
Yeah.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor of the motion to amend, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is amended to say engineering firm.
Aye.
Thank you, Kelly.
One more benefit of doing this by postponing it, none of the, we take criticism sometimes for not, I wasn't here and I didn't know, and why didn't you tell me? Well, by preserving this committee or this policy until the 60 threshold means that Anne Marie or John or whoever wanted to be on this committee still has, it's still in the line and it didn't get shut off. It's just moved.
That's a really good point, and I was only approaching this from a rules of order position, not from any position I have personally. Just to answer the question, what can we do? That's the finite
Yeah.
that I presented. This is certainly acceptable and I think more appropriate as well,
And
David.
one other comment is I think we could remove that from the appointments list until that point as well.
Yep.
Well, as long as you can keep track of those names, Brandon, I'm fine with that.
Yes, I will keep track of them.
Please let those people know that their names not being on there does not mean that they're not, that their request is not recognized. It's only for clearing up the paperwork here.
I did hear that the company had to take some time to get to 60 too, so it's gonna be
You're right.
Yeah.
like all summer.
Yes.
Yes. I
Yeah,
will.
so actually, Olivia, would you make that communication? I don't want to say that, but would you make the communication so that they just know that they haven't been dropped from that request? It's just dropped from the agenda until we get there.
Yep, I'll let them know.
Okay, please, so that we don't have any questions and people yelling at us.
Yes.
I don't think those people would yell at us anyway, okay.
This is Anne Marie.
Hi, Anne Marie.
Hi.
Yeah, I have no objection as long as the town knows, you know, that the engineering firm is in touch with the town and, the two villages, so people know what's going on.
Yep.
And we get well advertised when they do have their meetings.
Yeah, we'll make sure you know.
Well, not me.
Well,
but
yes,
everyone.
yes.
There's a lot more than me involved.
Well, I know, but that I know. That's what I meant, though. But we'll make sure everybody knows.
Okay.
So there's a motion on the floor. Any further discussion on the motion? The motion is to table the appointment of the Village Wastewater Committee until the engineering firm presents the 60% phase.
Well, it was also to actually, it was the second reading of the policy from the town. so
That's correct.
It included that,
And so we're tabling the second reading.
yes.
Yes, we're continuing the second reading of the policy.
In addition to the appointments,
That's correct.
yes.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
The motion carries, it's unanimous. Quarter 2 fiscal finance report.
Good evening. General fund revenues are currently at 54% and expenses are at 52%. So we're going to experience another shortfall in general fund revenue this year as current use payments came in $28.75 less than what we anticipated, and interest and penalty will come in less than we have budgeted, and that's because our tax collections are nearly at 100% with under 5,000 in delinquencies right now. So there's nothing to collect interest and penalty on. On page 1, I showed a snapshot of Q1 and Q2 revenues and expenses for the general fund. Highway fund revenues are currently at 60%. Revenues are a little bit higher than they usually would be for this time of the year. The state, instead of giving us our state aid to highway payments quarterly, they gave them all to us in the first 2 quarters this year. I was told that they did that because of the storm, so that we would have our funding in hand right now. So it looks like it's a little bit higher than normal, but it's really not, because we just won't collect those other 2 quarterly payments later. We've collected them now. Expenses are at 52%. Expenses are 2% over because we've made all of our annual principal and interest payments. Revenues are 10% higher. Oh, excuse me, I already said that. So for the general fund and the highway fund, everything looks really good for this time of the year. Solid waste fund, on the other hand, revenues are at 99%. For fixed revenues and fixed expenses are at 76%. Fixed expenses are higher than anticipated as we made our annual payment for the compactor, and wages have increased for the attendant. Workers' compensation is at 70% already, which is much higher than we anticipated. We're currently looking into this to determine why our percentage increased so much. Variable revenues are at 53%, and variable expenses are at 75%. Punch card revenue is coming in much less than anticipated. It's a 75.53 right now. Variable expenses at $30,000 over what we received in variable revenue. So I've requested that the highway superintendent and accountant look into this further to ensure there are no booking errors. And in the next meeting, if there are no booking errors, we really need to take a look at the transfer station. I was in the Solid Waste District Executive Committee meeting today, and the committee has decided to postpone the bid process until next year for the district bids. I don't know what the Solid Waste District Commission will do, but the executive committee recommended that we don't go out to bid this year.
Just a quick note for the recording secretary. In that paragraph that he just read, it says, "I requested the highway superintendent an account." That needs to be accountant when it shows up in the minutes later on.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I'd probably, if I wrote it, it'd be a lot more. Any discussion on the Q2 finance report?
On the solid waste, I think this is gonna get to be a symptom of, and I think you've suggested, as we move along into the summer, about raising the punch ticket prices again. I think this shortfall is a symptom of raising it before, where people are gonna try to investigate how to get out of paying any way they can, whether it's jamming more trash into their bags that they dispose of, or maybe even more recycling. I'm not really sure, so I'd follow, or whoever's doing this should follow the tippage, as well as, I don't know whether the recycling doesn't get handled by weight, right? It doesn't go out by weight, it goes by, I don't know, you could track some of this a little bit harder, I think.
Yep.
But we're shipping the amount of tons out per quarter or whatever, I don't know whether it's seasonal, whether people do that, but it seems like it could get worse even if we raise the ticket prices again.
You really would have to look at whether or not an increase in the ticket price starts to make it cheaper for somebody to either hire somebody to come and do a pickup.
That too.
You know, there's all kinds of ways you're gonna start losing.
I've never seen it this out of whack.
Yep.
We're only in the second quarter, so I'm really hoping that it's a booking error.
We got a dumpster.
And I have them looking into that right now to determine. Have you guys made any headway on that? Did you determine?
We started the process today. I gave her a couple things to look at.
Okay.
There's several variables or several reasons. People might be recycling more, like Dave said. We have to review the tonnage. I'm going to compare it for the last couple of years and see if there's an increase. They might not be punching accurately at the transfer station.
That's what I'm.
If the revenue's down on that, but if the trash tippage is down, that means we're not getting as many punches because people aren't throwing away much stuff. They're switching over, they're getting all the waste to whoever at their house, and they're bringing just recyclables to the dump. We won't know that until we look at all these numbers and find out exactly what's happening.
All right. So when I get back, we'll look into that more, and then we'll have several follow-up reports about this, because this is a big deal. There's a $30,000 difference in Q2. So
We expect the trash and the C&D to cover the expenses of the recycling, but if the recycling is going up and the trash is going down, you're gonna be chasing your tail forever.
Yep.
So we'll figure it out.
Thank you, Ray.
Can I have one clarification?
Yeah, oh, yes.
Was it said, Ray, that the trash is going down or no?
We don't know yet. We're just
Okay,
starting
that's what I-
research.
okay,
We just
all
got the assignment,
Okay.
like literally,
Yeah, it was Friday of last week,
Okay.
or Thursday.
Oh, okay, that's what I wondered, okay.
Well, you're on top of it. We'll figure it out. Any other questions on the Q2 finance report? Thank you, Brandon.
I just want to mention one thing. I found out there was an executive committee meeting yesterday, and I didn't have time to I'm sorry about that, but in the next executive committee meeting, we'll start to, okay. I'll talk to you about it later.
CLA discussion.
Well, one more comment. I'm not
Oh,
really
okay.
I'm not really, I guess I am, but I'm not. We're a partner in that, right? So we really need to stay focused on our own operations.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's.
we could go out to bid. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer, but
Yeah.
you can't let the train come off the tracks. I don't know what it is, whether or not, I mean, I suggested before that I know this would throw a curve in it, but we just bought a new compactor and we still have quite a charge of money, and I don't know how that fits into the operations overall on the payment or whatever, as far as payments go. But I don't know how much money I'm talking about either. But if we could reduce the cost of the operations overall in a one whack, it might work. All options are on the table. You don't want this to get worse.
$125,000 a year is what our portion usually is.
No, I meant the new compactor we bought.
Okay.
We got rid of the other one. I don't know what that cost was. I can't.
70.
Yeah, so that's a debt that we're sharing, right, or whatever. I don't know.
Yep.
Okay, we need more information
Yeah.
to really get through that
Yeah.
specific issue.
Yeah.
CLA discussion.
Since our CLA dropped to 72.18. You you guys can take it from there.
So that means our taxes are going down or up?
It means that the town is, they're saying the town is undervalued because of rising property costs or rising property values. It means that our utilities will probably reduce on our grand list again this year by another 9 or 10%.
I had a discussion with you when I read the statement that came out from the state on this for us, on the decision with the state. Does the board have any interest in doing that? I personally do.
What is the likelihood that we'd be successful?
0 if you don't appeal.
True.
Well, to appeal, you'd have to have Brandon or the listers, or a combination of both, find out a lot of information, such as the amount of property transfers that were made, and they may be all legitimate, so you'd want to know the answer before you started that process.
Well, I respectfully disagree, because I can start the process and just to get, because you've only got a certain amount of time to file for an appeal. So I could file the request for an appeal with and ask for an extension of time to provide the necessary data, as that will take greater than the amount of time given.
And my other question is potential outcomes, decrease in tax burden by the residents of Weathersfield if we're successful?
If we were successful, I guess what depends on what you're asking for in the appeal. So my goal would be to freeze the appeal, to freeze the 80. I think we were just under 80. What was the last one? 70, 76, 78?
81.
Yeah, it was 81.
81?
Change.
Okay, I would look to freeze the 81, because we already hired a contractor to do an appraisal. We already agree that there's a mistake there, but why do we continue to get penalized when it takes time to fix or correct?
But that's not your call to make.
I understand that, but I can make the appeal.
No.
I can ask for it, for relief.
And I just want to make sure the appeal is worth it, because if you first of all, you've got to know the formula and the makeup of the common level of appraisal. They work on 5-year rolling averages of property sales compared to what's on the grand list. Even I don't know how many of those matter, whether it's 2 or 22 or 222, the percentage of the 1,650 properties that are in the town.
Well, Dave, let me stop you, and let me say this: we can work together on what information needs to be in there, because I know you know a lot about this, and I don't disagree with you.
Well, I'm wondering what if it is real, then we've wasted all our time. So you can do all this prior to, I get your point about, I don't know when this letter was dated, January 5th, as far as the appeals process. But, good lawyers know the answer before they answer the question.
Oh, I know.
So that's all I'm getting to.
But if I can get it, if we can file for the appeal and get time to put this data together.
You run the risk of I hate to say this, but you run the risk of maybe it'll get worse.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you're laughing, but that's very true. I know that sometimes the whole, when you wanna come in and you wanna appeal your assessment, you better make sure and do your own due diligence, because you might find yourself that you're gonna have a higher tax bill than you thought you were starting.
I think we should go at this as a reality. And the reality is, it's more important to me for the town. Now, I went to the school, and I'd be happy to talk about the school as much as I know, and there's a lot that I don't know. But for the town, we still need a clear, and I haven't gotten it, a clear response from the state, not the listers or not NIMRIC, who handles some of the listers' work here, about the ability, the definition of equipment versus a non-movable asset, similar to a house, a structure. That's at the core of our problem for the town and the CLA, the common level of appraisal. Because what the power company has done is it's used the ability to depreciate their assets they're calling them equipment when it's bolted down to the ground with 1,000 yards of cement, similar to a house. I would just like us to get a firm answer from the state, whether or not that's true or not.
Maybe that's where the appeal goes.
Maybe. But I'm just saying that I don't think, we're probably not alone on that, because when they upgraded, they increased.
But if we appeal, I'm sorry, if we appealed on that basis alone, the worst they could say is no and nothing changes.
It's viewed as equipment.
But, you know, a generator, a lot of times is, you know, attached to the ground and is still, I have a feeling that is considered equipment.
You think so?
That they're depreciating, absolutely. As a business, I would be depreciating that.
Well, but this
Whether
this
it's
one
fixed-
here
Whether
is
it's fixed or not.
this one here's a lot different though, with, you know, like 32 gigawatts with a fence all around it and everything. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
I
But
don't.
they're gonna have to upgrade that, so they're.
No, they already
depreciating-
did.
I know, but they'll, again, it'll be done again, so as a business, I would be depreciating it and then
You
upgrading
know,
it. down the road.
the thought that came to my mind was, we're being told that our property is undervalued. And our CLA dropped to 70%. So what do? They turn around and they drop the valuation.
It's a tool that they can use, and it's perfectly fine. So here's, but the reality of our budget process right now is, let's just set aside the argument for the grievance, because that's not gonna help us. We need to be able to get the warning on. It's gonna be signed tonight or whatever, by the 30th of January. This effect that we just got notice on January 5th was after Brandon's presentation of our own budgets, the highway and the general fund.
That is correct.
As a result of this lowering, it has lowered this common level of appraisal by 11% from last year alone. As a result, instead of $34,300 per penny of valuation, it's dropped to $33,000. That's the effect of a lowering of the grand list. That ability for that power company to depreciate their asset has far outpaced the new construction that land use here in town has done. So it's lowered the grand list to that effect.
That is correct.
From $34,500 or $300 valuation down to $33,000. So the budget that he just presented us for highway and the assembled tax rates that we looked at are off.
Yeah.
We're going to raise taxes without any special articles by a couple of more cents as a result of this at the town. Now, for the bad news. I attended the online school meeting on Tuesday. And I want to get this crystal clear, our homestead tax rate last year for the school operations was $1.66. This year, the state has announced it, the education tax rate is going to be $1.96. 30 cents higher. And they have a meeting right now going on. I attended the one last week, and the talk was that even if they lowered the budget, that the state has set the education tax rate. So by lowering the budget, according to the school presentation, and the SU was on the online and everything, that would not matter. So I fired off a letter to everybody, and I got responded by the superintendent today. I don't know if everybody opened their emails.
Yes, I saw that.
About a potential help. When we took up, the analogy that I used was in 2021-22 that Brandon put together resolving a long-standing property tax situation here in town. And the prior administration had set up an account upstairs in the office where they had, and all of us paid for this over the years. I think it was about $69,000 in a set aside for tax losses. When we resolved that account, the board voted at the time to do our tax bills in June, and Brandon was involved in this, where we gave the money back to the people by 2 cents. It's written in all of our tax bills. I made that suggestion to the school board to take up tonight. They have a but my numbers were off a little bit. So in my email to you, I remembered last week's meeting that they had $250,000 in a reserve account. The school finished their year at $550,000 surplus from FY23, which is June 30th. I assumed wrongly that they had an $800,000 total surplus. The superintendent confirmed to me tonight before I came, it was 550 total.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know I'm talking a lot about the school here, but I don't mean to. I'm talking about the total. Our town is one town as far as I'm concerned. And as a result of this lower evaluation and whatever is plugged into the formula, or their cost per student or whatever it is doing this, I requested that they take up, not all, but at least in part, to allow us to work together where when we set the tax rate, instead of giving it back to the state through a budgetary process and not getting the money back, to do the same thing of what we did on that property tax thing. I don't know if it'll work or not. At least some, not all. But even so, even if they remember, one penny is $33,000. Even if they took that in half, we're talking about still a 15 to 20 cent increase. Even if we gave some of that money back instead of a 30-cent increase on the school. They did the calculations. It is, well, it's easy to do. Let's just do the math. It's on a $100,000 valuation. That's $300 more in tax money just from the school alone. They say the average valuation for somebody's home was something like $220,000 or some such thing. It was $770 increase in taxes on the school alone. It's never happened before. They have not yet set, as far as I know, they have not set the non-homestead rate, but when you put it in perspective, the homesteads far outweigh the non-homestead rate. So you can see how this implies everything. I told them in the email that we all know the same thing, that we have signed up for a reappraisal, but I also gave them, I'm really sick and tired, personally, of hearing that it's the town's fault that we haven't reappraised that's going to solve this mess. I gave them a list of 12 towns with the same CLA, and the wild swing in the education rate was 203, I think I said, 208, all the way down to 130, for the same common level of appraisals in the state. Different towns. How can it be this wild? I mean, talking about a swing of 70 cents.
Well, there's another point or fact to include in an appeal, that it doesn't appear that the process they're using works.
I think the common level of appraisal is a part of the education tax rate.
COD is the other.
We've been told through the last few years that it's really all that matters and everything, and it turns out it's not. So,
No,
but it
because
is
the coefficient of dispersion.
Yeah, it's
is, I think,
23.
is
It
part
just
of it.
said that too.
Yeah.
Which means, I don't know if everybody understands all this stuff, and I don't know everything. If you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath ranch in town and at a location A, and it's in the town, let's say for $200,000, and you have another 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom ranch over here, and it's $100,000, that's the discrepancy they're trying to reconcile. They're trying to make them even. So you have something, a John Deere tractor over here, and you want a John Deere tractor over here. You want the same thing, what you're talking about, the values.
Yeah, except for one person might have lived here for generations
Yep.
in that one. And someone just came in and we have a shortage in housing and they overpaid, you know, I'm just
But
saying.
they don't. One of the things that I've argued about, and I think that Nate Stoddard said that they couldn't do this, was it would ward off the need for reappraisal if we did that. They don't plug in the new number on the house. They still use the old number. So if I go over and buy your property for $200,000, that doesn't matter. They leave the
Right.
same one
Correct.
on the
Yes.
grand list. It's weird.
Yes, that's correct.
It's stupid.
I don't know why they don't do that, because they could
It would solve the
conceivably.
problem.
Yes, it would help. You've got a willing buyer and a willing seller of a property.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, but you should know what the taxes are you're going to pay, because and if you overpaid, congratulations, it's your fault.
Another point that could be made in the appeal.
Yes.
You know, so there are points that could be made in an appeal.
I don't want to talk anymore about the school because they've got to work through their problems and
Well,
it's
and that's
really
fine too,
hard.
but I kind of need to know, because I don't think we meet again, or if we do, it's going to be right on the edge. Do you want me to file an appeal? What do you want to do? I
Got
can't
until
do it without
February.
your,
Got until February 10th.
until February 10th.
Yep.
Okay, then
Okay,
I would
all right.
suggest that we wait because Brandon's going on vacation
Yes.
and then I would really, really sincerely like it to see how many transfers were made over last year because.
You and I can get together and kind of just to make an outline of what those ideas are that we want to look into.
Yeah.
And that way, when he gets back,
Yeah.
and we come back to this, we can say, okay, go, then we've got a plan to follow.
Even if that thing, for tonight's discussion though, and we're gonna get into some other things down the line here, we really need to stay focused on the town's effect, which would be the narrative that's been given, it's going to cost more money. We need to define how much more money that is and get our arms around it and see whether or not the decisions that were made are standing or whether they're gonna be modified or what. I think, and make no mistake about it, we can appeal and that's good. This is, because we're not gonna reappraise, and it's not gonna be completed until 2026, this is gonna have the same effect next year.
Yeah,
So we're not,
yeah, we got another year of
we've
this.
had it 2 years in a row now we've got the third
We
year.
possibly have 2 more years of
We
this.
could, so we just need to remember when we have things coming before us saying, pick me to buy me, whatever, we have to put it in context and say, I think we should have everything on the table and understand that our tax rate is going up because the grand list is going to stay the same, it's not growing. By the way, I've also studied the towns that have completed reappraisals. Heartland finished one only like 3 years ago. Now, like magic, they're below the threshold at 85 and they have to have another one.
In 3 years.
Yes, so the notion that we have somehow been bad people not having a reappraisal since 2009 is false.
It's nonsense.
It costs $175,000 for a reappraisal, and when it falls, I'll make this another prediction too. It's gonna be a rough ride here, folks. The houses, my last conversation a year ago with Nate Stoddard was that he found that the houses were about 50% selling for over what is in the grand list on average. The land was pretty stable according to the grand list. I think that's falling down. I think the land is now catching up. I'm following it really closely. And we're gonna see the land do the same thing as what the houses are doing,
Yeah, about 50% more than what it seems to be.
or more.
You were talking to me today about that, and land seems to be up close to $4,000 or $5,000.
For woods.
$4,500 an acre.
For woods.
Yeah, yeah,
For hillsides.
Yes.
yeah.
So the land is following the house, and people are not scared of, they're coming here, they don't like the cities, they don't like things. They like us.
No, they like.
And it's
no,
exactly
they
what
like
you just
trees.
said. How
They
are
don't-
our residents that have been here for our lives going to be able to navigate your way through it?
So we'll keep this on the agenda for next meeting.
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And you and I'll get together to create that outline at some point, even if we do it over the phone. Just create an outline, so we have a plan to work from, if we decide to get there. I don't want to be caught with my pants down and have to do a lot of homework. You know, I'd like to get some of it out of the way, if I can. Okay, thank you for all of that information, Dave. It's, we appreciate your time you spend on that. Police cruiser capital plan. And this is also a place that I've asked, I mentioned to Brandon, that I kind of want to just ask the board how you feel about your decision regarding the purchase of a police cruiser when we learned the next day that we lost the SIU grant and we don't know what that's all going to look like. And I firmly believe that we made the right decision based on the information we had at the time. And I want to know if the board feels the same way at this time about that decision. Maybe the best thing to do is to start with just polling people. August, how you feel about that?
I feel good, and we also had a discussion parallel to that about ARPA funding. And I think if there's an opportunity to increase the ARPA contribution, it would be a good use of those funds that benefits every resident in town.
Okay, I just want to, I don't want to get into discussion, I just want to poll the board on how you feel
I feel
about
good. I feel good.
Wendy?
I'm okay.
Dave?
I want to revisit the entire package.
I'm okay with the decision we made. But I do think I want to have some discussion about what it looks like but I pulled, wait a minute, Kelly, I haven't pulled Kelly yet.
I know.
Kelly,
One more.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I'm sorry, dear.
That's all right.
So do you agree with the decision we've already made, or you want to look at this some more?
Well, when we made the decision, we had a little more money in our pockets. I think it should be something that should be re-looked at until we find out if we're actually going to hire another police officer and when that'll be.
Is Bill online? No?
He's not, but I have enough information to relay.
Okay. So, I guess right now, coming to me, it would be 2-2. And although I agree with the decision that we made, I know we made that decision and it was a sound decision at the time, things changed the next day. So I'd like to at least have a discussion about it. That doesn't mean I'm in favor at this point of changing anything, just that I want to make sure we have a discussion about it. And I think that's the appropriate thing to do for the people of the town. So I'm going to vote to revisit, just at least at this point in time, for purpose of discussion. So, Brendan, you want to start this off, or you want
Yeah.
the board to give you their direction first, or what do you want to do?
I can relay what I know.
Okay, go ahead.
So the board asked me to put together a capital replacement plan for the police cruisers. That capital replacement plan is in your packet. So starting out with what our balance was, it was $21,464. We contributed $10,000 to that. So in the FY23 line, you'll see $10,000 going in to make our balance $31,000. In FY24, the annual contribution assumes, just for the sake of putting together a package, the board asked me to put together, keep about half a cruiser in the reserve account and figure out what the other combination of funds would look like. So I assumed $40,500 from a combination of ARPA and fund balance, and $17,000 in police cruiser reserves. So you'll see a withdrawal there for $57,500. That replaces that cruiser number 1. If you scroll down, cruiser number 1 is the 2016 Ford Explorer that currently has 122,000 miles on it. According to our police chief, the useful life of a police cruiser is 120,000 miles, so we're currently 2,000 miles over its useful life. Then you'll see the next police cruiser wouldn't be replaced until FY30. In order to replace cruisers in cash when they come up, instead of paying for interest, we would put $20,000 into the bank each year. So we would transfer $20,000 in FY25, $20,000 in FY26, FY27, 28, 29, and then we would purchase a police cruiser, our next one, in FY30. You see $65,000 coming out. It reduces the balance down to $74,000. In FY31, we make another annual contribution of $25,000. In FY32, another contribution of $25,000. We make a purchase for $66,000 estimated to replace Cruiser 3. Then in FY33, we replace Cruiser number 1 again, and now all of our police cruisers are replaced. The same thing, but then we increased to $30,000 in FY37, which is a long ways away from right now, and we replaced the cruiser again. So with that said, if we continue on with this purchase, the next cruiser wouldn't need to be purchased again until FY30. We'd have 6 years, 5 or 6 years, until the next cruiser replacement. When I spoke with Bill, yes, the SIU grant did go away, the SEIU grant was contributing 10,000 to police cruiser reserves annually. And when the grant went away, it was because our level 3 detective went away. He resigned and moved on to a different position. We've advertised the position. We have received a few applications. We continue to accept applications. And according to the police chief, he doesn't want to rush into anything. He really wants to evaluate police officer candidates and determine which one will be the best fit for the town. So although we don't have a full-time officer right now, a replacement for Mr. Prince, we're currently looking.
I understand we're looking, but I also understand that many towns around us are offering significant sign-on bonuses and probably making it very difficult for us to compete in the workforce to find someone. How does that look, in your opinion?
I think it looks like we need to not revisit the police cruiser, but revisit the police officer salary and potentially offer a sign-on bonus.
What would that number look like?
No less than $10,000.
Where's it going to come from?
I don't know. Rainy day fund at this point. Or somewhere.
Okay.
That's just one fund I can
Fair.
think of. I don't.
Yep, fair enough. Okay, I had two other questions, I think. In each of these years, fiscal year 25 through 29, where's that $20,000 come from? Is that going to be budgeted?
Yes, we would need to be budgeting that annually.
Okay, so that's an annual budget increase to achieve that, but
Yep.
yeah, short of some sort of article raising the funds, either at a greater rate or otherwise, whatever.
Yeah. Either put it directly into the budget or do special articles each year.
Right. Yep.
This is the style of
Yeah,
capital replacement plan that we're doing for all equipment in town. The fire departments have a similar one. We're almost done with that one. That one's a little bit more complicated. It includes a lot more stuff.
Okay.
But this one was pretty easy to get together for this meeting.
Okay, now, and this next question is probably tied into that other stuff, because I know there's more pieces to this pie that have to fit into the capital budget. But when I go down to fiscal year 33, shouldn't the replacement of C1, according to the discussion we had in the minutes, shouldn't that be fiscal year 34 so that we're looking at every other year? Or does this become that compound of buying two cruisers almost on top of each other, or three cruisers almost on top of each other?
We could probably push that to FY34. I did kind of put those two together back to back. However, the way that the capital plan works is it doesn't really matter when you buy it. You just plan the date that you'll buy it, and you contribute the amount that you need to raise in order to make that purchase.
Yep.
So we could space it out differently.
Well, I had a question.
Well, just one more point, and then I'll come to you. The only thing that would matter with the other pieces of the pie, those other capital budgets, as to whether these can be close together or they need to be spaced out, so that you can fit other pieces of equipment in there, in those slots as well. I understand how it works. Go ahead, August.
Yeah, so I kind of was looking at the same thing, and if the life expectancy is 120,000 miles, it seems like it would be suitable to stagger the mileage on the vehicles, so you didn't have back-to-back, replacements.
I think that's what they have been.
Yeah.
I think that's what they've been trying to do, is if one goes up
Yeah.
for whatever
I
reason.
think that's what the chief said when he.
Yes.
And that's what he said he was
Yeah.
gonna try to do,
Yeah.
to get to that every other,
So I think you could.
every other year.
Yeah, so I think you could massage this, so you're staggering your vehicles and you're doing your mileage based on your purchase year.
Yep.
And if you look at like FY32, for example, right? Well, the addition of funds is consistent. So that's one important thing.
Yes.
Even if we pushed it to FY34, the amount that we put into the capital replacement plan reserve account isn't going to change. So
could-
whether
go
we
ahead.
purchase it in FY 33 or FY 34, we're still only putting away 25,000 annually. So it doesn't really matter if they're staggered, in my opinion, or not. 'cause it's
Well,
not gonna
actually,
fluctuate
Brendan,
cost.
if you push that 33 out to 34, you could drop the 25 back to 20 because you pick up that extra year that you'd put 20,000 in that makes up that 5,000.
Nope. Go to FY 40.
Yeah,
See that 1464.71?
yes.
If we reduce that to 20, that's going to go into the red.
Wow, 26 years from now.
It will.
You wanted a plan, and the man gave you a plan.
Wow.
Brandon will be chair of the select board and retired by then.
Then my question also is.
Can I have water?
If this is pertaining to the police, why does it matter? This is just my question. If we are allocating for these purchases, why does it matter what's going on in other places? What I mean by that is, if we have a capital plan for, say, highway, or we have a capital plan for fire, it should not have any determination on this plan, because this should be specifically for what we're allocating goes there. So as far as when we purchase, if we purchase a piece of equipment for highway and a piece of equipment for the police, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah,
If our allocations are.
I didn't see that number down there at the, I see you, Dave. I'll be right with
I'm
you.
doing the Kansas City.
It's going to be so. Like, let's say that the fire needs 50,000 a year. It's going to be the same thing. So it's not going to
Right.
when you pull it all together. You know, you're absolutely right. Fire shouldn't affect police. Highway
Correct.
shouldn't affect police or fire.
That's why you did this separate capital plan, is what I'm
Yes.
saying, is I feel that.
So the town will see the separate capital plans when we're done, but then it'll also see one combined plan
Okay.
that shows the replacement of everything.
Right.
And when.
Right.
That's the ultimate goal.
So at this point in time, that's really irrelevant whether it's in this line or not. That'll get sorted out later.
It'll get sorted out later, yeah.
Thank you. Dave?
Now I'll tell you why you're wrong. Never before has Weathersfield bought 3 brand new police cruisers. We're in uncharted water, and this chart shows it. We have not spent this kind of money for this kind of machinery, and that's being forgotten. As a matter of fact, if we look back at probably buying, so
We used to have one.
yeah. And if we not had ARPA funds, we would have not done what we did. If you'd had to buy these through the budgetary process, it would not have been possible. So, we did jump the gun and we bought the cruiser that's now here because we fully funded it with ARPA funds, and I recall funding at least another half of maybe the Charger that we have with fund balance surplus from the general fund. So there's been no special article and no plan to speak of for a while. I think the 2016, is it? I bet if we go back and look at that article, maybe if it's on the town warrants, it probably says something like this. Shall the voters of Weathersfield vote to replace the existing 2016 cruiser with a new one? That did not happen because it stayed. This is the first time that we've had another one stay. I'm falling back on this whole discussion. I agree. I wrote down a bunch of stuff. So I agree with you on the sign-on bonuses. The last time I spoke with Bill was a couple of weeks ago, and there's been 2 applicants. We're not getting a very big pool. I didn't know anything about the SIU grant. We've been able to use some of that money to put into our cruiser, and now that's just gone like overnight. That does matter. I thought I heard you say, Brandon, that you might want to table this police cruiser until we reconcile what, maybe I heard wrong, but reconcile the labor. And if we had to add money to get somebody to work here, that would happen. My past feeling about that is you will open a door to the really important people that are here. They're going to, including you, for us. You know, okay, we're going to pay somebody else $10,000 to come and work here, and I know that Lebanon is $30,000 a sign-on bonus.
It is.
I do think we need to take this in context of our total equipment plan, including loans or whatever. And every time we seem to have increased the police presence here, the state police has backed right off. where's our partnership there? I mean, you know, it used to be where we had,
I thought because they,
we had a lot more involvement with the state police.
We do have good relations with the state police.
No, I know,
no,
but
we
I'm
used to
just,
have a lot more presence
Yeah,
in our
coverage,
town,
coverage
because we
and
used to have
things.
one police officer, so we had
Right.
help.
Right.
And then we got 2 police officers, and we got less help, and then we got 3. So
This-
I think that's what you're saying.
yes, and so this mileage thing right now, even though it says, you know, 15,000 miles are being put on Cruiser One right now it's 0, because it's parked. So that's a little out of whack.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Bill's, I'm just gonna lean back on this whole discussion to my comments 2 meetings ago, and I should have stood in there about what to do right now. And it got exacerbated by the fact of the CLA going down to 72 and the other pressures on other things to buy right now. We have 2 relatively brand new cruisers, and I would support, in another month, I would not purchase this brand new car at this moment. And I would make sure the other one is completely operable for now. It's not the end of the world. We don't even have anybody to ride in it. As a matter of fact, today, we have a brand new one and a 2021, the car to be used for the part-timers, which Bill said was up to around 20 hours of part-time help. That means that car is parked 148 hours a week. And we don't have a garage.
Well, we do have another part-time officer that's filling in right now. And, you know, a hire will be made. And when a hire is made and we have a 2016 Ford Explorer that has issues,
I get it.
you know, I think we should have a,
But we haven't bought 3 brand new cars before in Weathersfield history.
yeah. And that's,
I had a question about that, not a question, but a point about that, and that is that I understand that, Dave, and I understand why it was that way, but I also understand that a lot of things have changed. In fact, we were sitting here talking about something that just went through the legislature today, which is, or you.
I know.
That is just unbelievable to me. But, you know, so.
But I don't ever feel as though we've neglected the police cars in the town at all.
No, I'm not saying that at all. And I'm not saying we should start. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying is we might be on the verge of needing 5.
No, I don't think
know.
so. No,
Where are we going?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the board wants to do. But what I would suggest that my suggestion is that we regroup and that we allocate a certain amount of money, a half of a cruiser, so that we're not caught flat-footed, to prepare for the future a little bit better. When we get our labor organized and the direction, that's all I'm saying. Instead of, like, it seems like we're buying equipment and then we have nobody to run them. I just wouldn't do that.
How about this? We've already pretty much figured out the expense and that we're not raising taxes to buy this car. How about if we just,
But there was a certain amount of ARPA funds to be allocated.
well, more importantly, there's an estimate that only holds for a certain amount of time.
Yep.
and they were given the green light the following day.
Yes.
I totally understand where Dave is coming from, and Kelly, and yourself, that we don't have a police officer right now, so why do we need another cruiser?
Could have one next week.
We could have, exactly, we could have one next week, and then,
We have the cars.
yep.
We have the cars in hand right now today. They have Weathersfield on them, emblems. We have 3 of them.
Yep.
We have a backup, and we have 2 relatively new ones. That's all I'm saying.
I understand.
I don't know. You're right. We made this, the only thing could be on the table is a motion to reconsider. But, so other than that, there was a vote taken, and the thing is like headed down the tracks. Right?
It would,
I'm not-
it would need to be stopped tonight,
Huh?
if the board wanted to stop it. I think it's on the warrant tonight to cut the check, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. I didn't look.
That's just,
I recognize that the ARPA funds are a temporary thing. I also recognize that Vermont is experiencing more crime than it historically has. And we always have the ability to adjust the budget and adjust purchases in the future, but this would give you a new vehicle at a reasonable price. And they can flex the mileage differently to stretch out the life. There's also the added value. We've had these crazy weather events, and a police cruiser is basically like a mobile operations center. I just think that extra capability, recognizing that ARPA is something that's not going to be sustained, but it would get us that vehicle, and then it would be the responsibility of the police department to, maintain and rotate the mileage.
When we buy a cruiser in the past, Dave, maybe I go to you with this question, and we financed it. Of course, the cost of one was about half of what we're paying for this one. That's just from the last couple of years. But what will our interest over? What are the length of the loans for those? Typically 3 years.
Yeah, and everybody gets a little bit wound up about I don't want to pay interest, but right now the cost of the thing, whatever we're going to be talking about, is enormously more than what it was in the past. It doesn't matter what it is.
It is.
Right. The police cars used to be 25 or 30. Now they're 60.
But the point I'm making to that is if you now took a loan for 5 years on that, you're paying another $4,000 or $5,000, maybe $6,000 or $7,000 in interest on top of that car.
Well, what can the town borrow for right now? 4, 5, 4.5?
I think it's more than that. I think it's.
No, it's not any more than that. No, I can.
I think so. I think we'd have to ask Steve,
It was
but
5.5 interest rate less.
Yeah.
We get a municipal
discount.
Municipal.
Yeah.
We get that on the purchase too. The car's municipal discount
Yes.
plus the interest rates but you're still adding a cost. And in this particular purchase that we were making, we were foregoing interest as well.
So to answer your question though, it'd probably be $5,000 on the life of the loan for a $50,000. We wouldn't borrow the whole thing because if you had a half a cruiser, so it's not. I don't know. To me, on all purchases right now, it's the amount of principal that you have to pay for whatever thing that you're talking about. Excuse me. Anyway, the motion is done unless we.
Right. If there's no motion on the floor to make any change, then we will continue. Right.
As a citizen and as the highway superintendent, I think any good capital plan puts the town in a position where they have the funds to buy it with cash, or they can make a decision when the interest rates are low to borrow. You don't want to have to rely on one or the other. I think a really strong capital plan allows the town the flexibility to pick and choose and make good decisions. If we don't have that capital plan, we're not putting money in there, we don't have the cash in there, we're stuck borrowing all the time. So just why?
in this capital plan, actually, by putting 20,000 away per year, which would probably be close to what a principal and interest payment would be, it purchases the police cruisers in cash every time.
Right.
But the plan itself assumes on a 3-car rotation.
Yes, it
We
does.
have not.
I was going to go back to that. I was going to say, you're right in that aspect, that there was a car that was supposed to be disappeared, and it didn't, and now here we are. We said that when it happened, Dave.
Yes.
If that car doesn't disappear, it's going to become part of a fleet, and we're going to need to replace it, and
Yes.
here we are.
Here we are.
See, and I don't understand that
Sorry.
because it's been 3 cruises ever since I've been here. So,
We've been here longer than you.
so it was 2 cruises before me.
I'm sorry.
Oh no,
I love you to death, man.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. You know, I built this capital plan based on what I know,
I know.
and what I know is 3 cruisers.
All right, so we accepted a plan and entered into that plan, and that's what we have. Is there any desire to change that plan at this time? August?
No.
Wendy? Dave?
No.
Kelly?
Can't hear her.
No.
Here she comes. And I'm a no. So the actions of the board before it stands. Okay? Thank you all for taking the time to discuss this. I felt it was important to come back because things changed the day after we made the decision. And I was just concerned about that.
But there's a continued problem with whatever to hire a police officer.
There is,
There is.
and that should be on the next agenda.
How about if we hire one before that and we don't have to talk about it? But, I'm sorry, but we may have to deal with that as a, as you said, a bonus. That opens floodgates. Dave mentioned it already. You can't, in a town that is already tight on what we're paying, when you look at averages across the state, and then you take one position and say, well, we're gonna do this. If I was an employee, I'd be saying, well, wait a minute, what about me? That's your point. What about me? I understand. I understand.
Yeah, reapply. There you go.
Yeah, quit and reapply. Huh. There's a thought.
Yeah, no kidding.
Would you not give ideas?
I think I'll quit and reapply. I don't get paid.
Well, my point was, if we're gonna, provide these stipends, then maybe we need a raise here.
Paul always says
Which
that. Tillman wanted.
I was joking when I said that, okay?
He wasn't.
I know, but I was. Okay, town manager update.
All right, I have a couple of quick things. The first is the delinquent tax report. It was requested that I give a delinquent tax report. So for the town annual report, we will report on delinquent taxes as of the fiscal year end, which was 6/30/23. And as of 6/30/23, we had 171,000 outstanding in delinquent taxes, primarily from 2022 to 2023. And that delinquent tax report is attached as attachment A. This does show an outstanding balance from 2020 to 2021. And those delinquent taxes were addressed through agreements, and they are no longer outstanding. The second report, also attached in attachment B, is a delinquent tax report as of January 9th, which is the most recent report showing where we are right now. The delinquent taxes outstanding from 2021 to 2022 have decreased to $216, and the delinquent taxes from 22 to 23 have decreased to $19,000. That's decreased further as those delinquent taxes were paid. So we're, like I said earlier, below $5,000 in taxes that are due to the town. We currently have one agreement remaining with a resident to resolve those delinquent taxes. The rest of the agreements have been fulfilled. Over the years, when we first started, we had agreements in a pile like this on the desk, and now we've actually made it down to just one agreement. We will not have a tax sale, or we didn't have a tax sale on Monday. Everyone sent their checks to the town to cover their delinquent taxes, and those checks have cleared. Any questions on the delinquent tax report?
I do. Did we actually think that anybody was gonna show up yesterday for that tax sale? It was Martin Luther King Day.
Well,
I heard that people did show up to participate.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't.
yeah. No,
I was supposed to,
I'm just
but-
saying.
okay.
I heard that there were several people that came that might want to bid, and then they said, what's the matter? The tax sale was supposed to be on, but they hadn't heard that it was off, so.
Was there anybody here at all?
I wasn't here. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Day
Oh, I
Right.
know that.
Where was it supposed to happen?
here.
On Martin Luther King Day when the office is closed.
Which is a little weird.
That's the kind of the point I'm making.
Yeah, and there was some miscommunication with the attorney. The attorney set that date, and none of us caught it until it was too late. So. But we were going to be here if there was a tax sale taking place.
Okay.
Because it had been warned.
Yeah, I know you would have.
Exactly.
I know you would have been. That was my question on that. I
Well,
apologize for.
congratulations on the fact that the taxes are, that so much has been taken care
I'm
of.
going to try to say this next one with a straight face. We may not be in that position a year or two from now with some of the tax things we just got done talking about.
Right. But
We may be headed for a change there, back in the other direction again. Just after
All
just
of,
getting it
so
cleared
all of
up.
these agreements are gonna lead to something else, which means because we do not separate delinquent tax payments from the regular income that comes in on the tax quarters, that number's gonna increase unexpectedly. It has over the last couple of years as
Yeah.
he's collected monies.
Yeah.
You can look at it when it says
Right.
budget versus actual.
And you and I talking to Bill Hall at that training session we went to,
Right.
said that, yeah, you probably ought to have that line in there, but,
The problem is, like upstairs, Ben would have to, when you had somebody come in to pay and they were delinquent, it needs to be separated immediately. And so, to do that, to create a line,
but.
because you don't know.
But I will say that I believe that is a cash system and not an accrual system. Because the accrual system accounts for it on an annual basis anyway as being received. You just spent the money from somewhere else and now you get it back later. So it's actually, am I right, Brandon? That's pretty much the way that the accrual system works. It's
Yeah.
accounted for in the year, it's all counted and booked, whether you got it or not. You still had to cover those expenses and costs. So that money, so you just get the money back and it goes back into the account.
Clears out the account, the outstanding account receivable.
Correct,
Right.
yes. That's the accrual
That's
system.
correct.
So, okay. Appointments, I don't believe there are any at this,
I'm still going through the report.
oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
August requested a list of appointed officials. Those are in my report. Did you see that, August?
That's
Okay.
very helpful, thank you,
Yeah, and Olivia actually put that together.
thank you.
Thank you, Olivia.
Tax rate and 5-year budget history, that's been assembled and that's on the following pages, I think, as attachment C. So that's what will go into the annual report. And it shows what the tax rate will be if all articles pass. And then a 5-year budget history. We haven't received our audit yet, so I couldn't put FY23 audited actual. I just had to use the budget this year. There's been a delay with our audit. We hope to have it completed soon, and then they'll be presenting the audit. But for now, we don't have it, so I had to put the budget for FY23.
I thought we had had a conversation about that needing to be,
Auditors. Is this projected tax rate including these, whatever the estimate potentially could be for the depreciable asset for the power company, or no?
No. So this is based on the current year's grand list.
Yeah. So, is there a way, I know you're headed to the airplane tomorrow morning,
Yep.
but I wonder if there's a way for you to be able to go back to, not now, but you can think about it, what last year's effect was of that would give you the ability to find out what it potentially could be for this.
I believe the effect was 2 cents,
Yeah,
but I
And
can't get the exact amount.
what
you
was,
don't need
what
to,
was the,
but-
what was that total change last year? Wasn't it from like 86 to 81, so it's 5 points? And it's almost 11 this time?
no, it's 11% this time, so it's 81 down to 72. So on a percentage basis, it's
Okay.
11%. On an actual number, it's 9 on the CLA lower.
What was the percentage last year?
I think it was like 87.88 down to 81 or something, so it was more like 6 or 7. You're not far off.
Yeah.
But
You see what I'm saying?
for some, yes, for some, again, this has got to do with formulas and how they plug it in, where it goes, and so
Yeah.
forth. So, but I think Brandon would be able to give us a ballpark.
I can.
I think it's going to be between 2 and 3 cents at least, up on the tax rate.
That sounds about right.
Yes. Now, last year's, so the reason I asked that question was because if you look in red italics up here, he's got it at 33,000, what is it, 172?
What page are you on the packet?
On the 33 out of 65.
Left corner, right there.
Yeah, 33. Yeah. So
33?
that's why I asked about, because last year it was 34 something. So that's some effect of the grand list shrinking. Always your tax rate goes up and you need more money because that goes down.
Yep. I'll try to have that for the next meeting.
I don't know, I'm just,
Yes, and we did our budget based on 34,000.
exactly.
Yes,
So now it's not.
no. Yep. Okay, yeah, and I'm gonna remind you that you're on vacation and that
Well,
This doesn't need to be done until you get back.
well, I planned my vacation in a way that allows me to prepare for the next meeting, so I get back on Wednesday and
Just so the board and the public knows, we've never had to do this before. It's very, very stressful because every year we go through the budgets, and we assume the grant list is the same, and we just have not had this happen because land use will have some measurable good news, meaning a couple of houses will get built or a deck will get built, and then when we set our tax rates, it's always been a pleasant surprise when the tax rate is a penny or two lower than what the presentation was. That's why.
And have we already crossed that threshold where we know what's the effect on the grand list was for zoning?
Mike, Kelly
Yes.
said goodnight. She's all set with the warrant.
Okay. Thank you. Good night, Kelly.
I
Are we talking about,
Haven't
we
crossed
have
that
special
threshold yet.
articles? She might want to stay on. Are we talking about special
What do you-
articles?
I'm not sure if we are or not.
Didn't you have,
What
No.
do you have something else I need to stay for?
I don't see it.
No.
Yeah, do you want to move on real quick to any other business?
Did you finish your report?
Yeah, I'm done with my report. Kelly, can you hang on for just another second?
We're almost done.
Okay, I'll hang on.
Thank you.
I could say, I thought we were going pretty good. It's only 8 o'clock. That's early. So, appointments, appointments, yes. That's the other business. I've got it written down here.
yeah, but that wasn't on.
Yes, I got it. Appointments, I don't believe we have any appointments to do this evening. That brings us to the warrant. Do I hear a motion to approve the warrant?
Motion, move to approve the warrant.
It means you gotta read it.
Okay, let me get to it. I was just there. Okay, here we are, page 50. Okay, motion to approve general fund payroll, the amount of $31,025.33. And operating expenses, $28,487.81.
That's 28,000, isn't it?
Oh, $28,487.81. Highway fund, payroll, $29,074.03. Operating expenses, $17,059.34. Solid waste management fund, payroll, $4,526.72. Operating expenses, $14,331.54. We have the library, payroll, $4,813.46. No operating expenses. And the totals for payroll, $69,439.54. And total operating expenses, $59,878.69.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second has been made. Any discussion on the warrants?
Is the, did you see the, Brandon, are you correct that the police cruiser is,
It's not on there.
okay,
Yeah,
no, no.
and that wasn't on purpose. It
Said it.
was forgotten.
You mentioned that it might have been, but not.
Kelly, you have anything on the warrants? I turn to you because
Believe it or not, they look good to me.
you're just tired. Thank you, Kelly. Any further discussion on the warrants? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the warrants, signify by saying aye. Aye.
I,
The motion is unanimous and the motion carries. Any other business? I've already taken care of that first one. And we have a request from the West Weathersfield Fire Department. I'll read this into the record. January 13th, 2024, to the town manager and the select board. This is a formal request for funds in the amount of $60,000 to be used to complete the exterior renovation of our 54-year-old fire station. We are very grateful for the funding that was used to replace our roof and inside ceiling in 2023. The new funds would allow us to install new siding, windows, garage doors, and insulate the exterior walls Completing these renovations will address the remaining high-priority issues identified by the town building assessment performed 2 years ago and will help our station last for years to come. We are asking for this request to be included as a ballot article for town voters to consider in March. Sincerely, Josh Doughlin, phone number, and Deputy Chief Michael Spaulding, and also the phone number. This is a written request for a ballot article. I don't want to limit that discussion to just that. In fact, I think we should be looking at this, those building assessments were part of the ARPA plan, and perhaps we should be considering this as an ARPA expense. So I'll open the board up for discussion on what they want to do here. I will say also that this is a capital maintenance repair. Something that's going to have to happen, just like a roof. It's going to have to happen someday. And so either you pay for it with these funds or the taxpayers pay for it. Again, I'll turn it over to the board. August.
What's our remaining balance of ARPA funds, and what's the deadline to use them?
Our remaining balance, just give me 1 second.
300 and something, if I recall.
I have it on my phone
And
here.
ARPA stands for American Rescue Plan Act, and these guys are in the rescue business.
That's a good point.
And my general feeling, just my general philosophy with ARPA funds, if it's something that benefits everyone in Weathersfield, which is what the fire department does, they benefit all. That's one of my quick litmus tests for if it's a good use of those funds.
Well, for me, the priority to the ARPA funds was to use them for these types of expenses, which will eventually end up on the backs of the taxpayers if you don't use them this way, and to not use them in a way that creates an ongoing tax need in upcoming years, such as the hiring of other staff or something that you don't have. This is something we have that we have to take care of. So you're going to pay for it one way or the other.
So did you have that amount?
Yep. So right now we have 318,000. I anticipate the use of $20,000 for the police cruiser, 20,000 from fund balance, 17,000 from reserves to pay for that cruiser, which leaves us with 298,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dave, Wendy, anybody? Kelly, anybody?
Well, this is a request for a special article.
It is a request for a special article. We have Josh Campo, and I don't see anybody else, but I would be surprised if they really care, as long as the work gets done. Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
You're probably right. So,
Can you hear me, Mike?
Dave is pointing out that this is a request for an article, and I'm actually proposing or suggesting that we probably should do this with ARPA funds.
Yeah, you can hear me okay though?
I can hear you now, yes.
Yeah, I don't know that we have a specific reason that it needs to come out of one or the other. I think that, there was already some discussion on ARPA money, and I think the chief's point of doing it this way was just to have complete transparency with the town and the taxpayers of the town to let them decide. It doesn't matter to us. I think that we're just trying to look ahead and understand that maintaining this building as long as we can is going to be cheaper than trying to run it into the ground and then look at building a new one to today's standards. I don't think any of us want to do that at this point.
Dave?
no, and he verified what you said.
Yeah.
So I'm agreeing with August. But we haven't. But we are going to get into the thing about, like we seem to be always getting into, about what triggers the run to get to the table to use ARPA funds, which we kind of held off on. And like me first. And when Brandon, everybody needs to remember when Brandon submitted that list that he prepared, some of those are going to have to get parked.
Yep.
Because we are prioritizing, and those funds will disappear.
And these types of projects, to me, are top priority.
Well, so
Higher.
however way you look at this, it's a 20-year.
Yes.
It's a pretty good move, even better than a police car, because that's far shorter than 20 years. So I don't have a problem with not putting this on the article and then going through the bid process or whatever that they're talking about, because it's far and above the purchasing policy, $10,000 for some kind of.
So what I'd like to hear for an action, just to make sure that the fire department knows there is an action, is that we commit to using ARPA funds for this process. It will require the bid process, as you said, prior to actually allocating the funds. But, so we could take a motion, I'd accept a motion to,
I don't know.
what would it say?
I don't know that you need to do that. Just have the fire department work with the town manager when he gets back.
Actually, we could do it just as a general consensus.
Yeah.
General consensus of the board would
Yeah.
be that we use ARPA funds for the repairs to the West Weathersfield Fire
Yes.
Department as requested in the letter dated, is that dated today?
13th.
Dated January 13th and received by the board on the 16th. August, yay or nay?
Yay.
Wendy? Yay. Dave?
Yes.
I'm a yay. Kelly?
Yay.
Okay, Josh, you can report back to the department that the board will use ARPA funds to do this. And
I appreciate it.
And Josh, one quick thing. I'm heading out on vacation tomorrow. If you guys can put together a scope of work, so when I get back, we can advertise an invitation for bids with that scope of work, that would speed up the process on my end.
Okay. I mean, obviously the numbers gonna have to wait until it gets warmer weather, but I will work with the chief also to work.
Okay, thank you.
thank you, Josh. Thank you for all you do, everybody at West Weathersfield and Ascutney.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Scutney was at a major car accident on my way up here, and Darren called me, and then I ended up driving by it. A tractor trailer went off the interstate into the woods. There was a lot of cars off the interstate in the woods on my way up here, and hazardous material ended up.
I'm biting my tongue.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We always get into about the interstate and about, I don't know. I don't know the answer. I have something else that I want the board to consider on, for other business.
Okay, other
Okay.
business.
It has to do with the special article dealing with highway. So if you turn to page 33 on the packet where you, Brandon, have projected the tax rate, I think it's very safe to say that given the fact of the common level of appraisal and everything, that the tax rate, and this is the budget, so this is without the special article, correct?
This is with, so are you talking about the total municipal tax rate on page 33?
Yes.
So that includes the special highway article.
Okay.
If it passes.
So where is that under when you come down to the fourth or whatever the bar, when it says FY tax rate 25, it says you have 6.8 plugged in?
Separate article, $100,000.
Yeah, I have 100,000 plugged in to the highway separate article. It's in the,
Yep, but when you go down, so you skip solid waste and you go to that actual totality of it all, right? So you've got a tax rate of 7,561 total?
yes,
Okay, and then last year's was 708,
yes.
right? So you have a difference of,
0.0481.
yep, so that is 5 cents.
Almost.
Yes. What I'm trying to get to is, with the reasonable thinking, that is much closer to 7 with the information that we now have. It's no fault of yours, it's just a matter of fact. So when you go back and you look up what happened last year and the year before, the effect of the depreciation schedule of you can't assume that the grand list is going to maintain the same. What I'm
There'll
trying
be
to
some fluctuations, so there'll be some stuff that goes on the tax roll.
What I'm trying to get to is,
Yeah.
I've done a lot of homework on this highway article. What I'm suggesting that the board revisit it to say some different words, where what this article is now asking for is an immediate tax increase of 3 cents. I'm saying that the board should reconsider the words of the article to say that shall the voters of the Weathersfield authorize the select board to borrow up to $150,000 to complete the purchasing package of replacing the backhoe. Because that, given the fact of what is going to crash the budgets this year, with the school up 30 cents and with the town now going to be up
Almost 7.
7 or 8 cents, that's a really lot of money. I think that the town needs to think a little bit more forward, because you're already asking for, I want flexibility built into that article somehow. First of all, the machine costs more money. I called, that price was held for 10 days. There's a price increase. So I just want to make things happen. And the alternative is to let this ride and then just deposit this into the to the reserve account, and then find all that out later, what I found out. We do vote 3 times this year. Okay, we vote in March, we vote in August, and we vote in November. However, most of these purchases get done around town meeting time. I think we need to be able to have flexibility on the borrowing. I'm not worried about the interest. I am worried about the package put together, as opposed to an immediate tax increase. Bang, pay cash, and here you go. I don't think $100,000 is going to be enough money.
I think I'm on the same page with you on this one, given the tax increases. I struggle with the interest because of how much it costs us to borrow.
Well,
now.
But wait, hang on. Go ahead and finish.
But that would drop 3 cents off of the tax rate this year. Allow us to borrow the money to plan, but then we will be paying some interest on that.
But we don't have to in the reality of it.
Hang on. The flexibility exists in what you said. We have 3 opportunities this year. So right now, we've made a decision based on how we felt. It was a rational decision to put it before the voters. And Ray, I'm going to come to you on this also, because I know you had a concern about it going before the voters. But if the voters say no, which I'm starting to think, based on the other impacts to the taxes, they probably are, if they're seeing it. But I can't predict that. But if they say no, we've got 2 more shots at it. That stops your idea, at least as far as if they say yes, then it's a done deal. Ray, what do you think? Where are you at? Leave it the way.
We need to replace our backhoe.
I know that. We know that.
I think if you borrow up to 150,000, doesn't mean we're going to borrow 150,000. We're going to borrow up to. We have money in our reserve. We can pay cash for the whole thing. That's going to deplete our reserve to nothing.
I need to change the article tonight, though.
Yep. So
what do you want to do, Ray?
My fear was $100,000 in 1 year is nuts. As far as the tax, it's 3%. It scares me. It's $150,000 over 5 years. Doesn't scare me as much.
Exactly.
So you're in favor of making the change?
I'm in favor of buying an excavator, and if that means we're not shocking the system of 3% in 1 year, we could revisit that. I would love to put $100,000 a year in my reserve, but I don't think we should do it this year. And I think this is a bad with the school thing and everything else going on.
Mm-hmm. It's really the school increase is why I'm kind of.
Yep. And the warrant itself,
it defers.
The article itself doesn't even say we're buying anything. It says buying future equipment.
Correct.
It's kind of not very transparent as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Just my thoughts.
Brandon, this something you can take care of? This something you can handle, you say?
I'd like to run up there and because I have to change the tax rate and I have to revise the 5-year budget report that Suzanne needs and revise the articles. So I'd like to run up there.
Well, okay, while you're doing the numbers, we'll write the article here. How's that?
But the loan payment, you can't just subtract the whole 3% because the loan payment's going to have an increase.
I'm going to run up there and.
Well, no, because that won't happen until next year. We always go after when you buy something, you ask Steve, and they'll always go after July 1st, depending on the date of purchase.
Dave, help me with the article.
Well, I mean, it should, what is the article that's,
Do we have a cop, was it last
Right now, you're
we
asking
have
for
it.
$100,000 to go to
Let me go
reserves
back-
for the purchase of future equipment. That's
It's in the minutes. I gotta go back to the minutes and I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
I think there's also a copy of, I was in the other packet. It's in the last.
shall the voters?
Shall the voters of the town of Weathersfield approve $100,000 to be placed in a highway equipment acquisition fund for future highway equipment purchases?
No. So shall the voters of Weathersfield authorize the select board to borrow up to?
I'm reading to you the former.
Yeah, but this is what I wanna see.
Okay, so that's,
This is to authorize the select board to borrow up to $150,000. I don't know whether you get any detail of that, obviously it gets the involvement of the treasurer, but for a period of not to exceed 5 years, let's say, for the, purchase or replacement of the
okay, I
backhoe.
got to authorize the town of Weathersfield.
Borrow up to $150,000.
I would say not to exceed 7 years, because you can always go
Yeah,
up to 5.
yep, okay, yep. At a term not to exceed 7 years. For purposes, replacement of the backhoe. Of the, whatever it is, 2006 Caterpillar backhoe.
7 years for the replacement of the 2006,
I think it's 6.
2009.
It's a 9.
I'm gonna
I
put
wouldn't-
that in
I don't know.
parentheses and a question
Yeah, I
mark, so
wouldn't
we
get that, I
verify
wouldn't get
that.
that, because if that's stuck in there, it's not it.
I'll
You
let
might
him,
just
I'll
say-
let him, I put a question mark on it, I'll have him verify it. We can verify the year on it. Okay. Replacement of the 2009 backhoe.
Yeah.
Um,
Question mark, yes or no?
yes, or no.
Don't
Yeah,
make
I
it
know,
too-
I know, yes or no, I get that. That part I mean, not in budget. I'm trying to write this whole thing because this is what our motion is gonna be, this is what the motion's gonna be, and I'm gonna give it to Brandon with my notes. And
Does
he's,
he have to have that done tonight?
yeah,
Does he come, to what
We
date does
have-
he
we-
actually come back?
Coming back on Wednesday, the 23rd or 4th,
Oh, why did I think the 30th?
He comes back on the 23rd?
or 4th, yeah.
So, all you really need to know here
No,
is
30th.
what the date for Floanne to have the,
29th,
of January?
yeah.
Okay.
I would double
Everything,
check.
but, I mean, that's the petitions, have to be in by the 29th, so that's gotta be in the articles and
But if
stuff.
Brandon flies back on the 23rd?
But we can get this done
it's
tonight.
still a few
I think so,
He's,
yes,
he,
the 30th.
I talked to him earlier about this, he can get this done. And he's
Does
okay.
he want us to sign the things tonight, here? Do you know,
The articles?
all
Uh,
the stuff
all
for
of the-
town meeting tonight?
Olivia?
Sorry, January 30th,
Olivia?
it'll be out till January 30th.
Are we signing everything tonight?
Yes,
Oh, you have some of that
I
printed
have
to
stuff to be
sign?
signed,
Oh.
yes.
Are the articles,
Articles, yep.
the articles are there, that will need to be changed.
He's going up there doing that. He's doing that.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the language, I have it right here,
Okay.
and we have to vote on it before it goes on there. That's why I told him to go do the numbers, and we're doing the article. So I'll read, what you
They
call
have
it?
it, the wording.
Who does?
You.
I'm bringing that up to Brandon.
That you have it.
All
You
right,
can just bring it.
Well, let me verify with the board that this is correct, and I'll give it right to you, hon. Olivia,
Motion to approve the article for highway, Article 11.
Article 11.
I think it is, isn't it? You guys?
Do we have to undo?
Was there a vote on the
we're-
meeting
yeah,
that
we're
wasn't
gonna-
here?
We're gonna do this as a,
Article 11.
we're going to do this as a motion to amend Article 11. Is that correct? Is it Article 11?
Correct.
Okay, so we're gonna do a motion to amend Article 11 to read, to authorize the town of Weathersfield to borrow up to, or do you want that to be the select board?
Select board.
Select board.
it wasn't snowing a second ago, right?
To borrow up to $150,000 for a term not to exceed 7 years for the replacement of the 2009 backhoe not in budget.
Yes.
You gotta verify the year. I just say.
I did that. I got a question mark by that. Verify. That's just written on here for Brandon's sake. All in favor, so wait a minute, so,
I made the motion for the amendment, so
I'll
it
second.
hasn't.
so motion to amend is made with a second. Any discussion on the motion? The motion is to authorize the select board to borrow up to $150,000 for a term not to exceed 7 years for the replacement of the 2009 backhoe not in budget, with a note to verify the year on the machine. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion to amend, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion is amended.
Kelly, you still on or no? He's off. Kelly's off.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's no other special articles other than the
There's-
nonprofits?
For changing, no. Everything else we already voted on. That's why we did an amendment. Ray?
Are we still on any other business?
We are.
You guys all set for a minute? Can I have something?
Sure.
The temporary bridge is almost done
Oh, good.
on the Study Basin Road.
Yeah.
And, we have Brandon has the, design for the new bridge deck already. The whole bid spec is on his desk, and he's just waiting to punch in all the dates and stuff to send out that,
Good.
Well,
for RFP.
Yeah, perfect.
So,
Very good. I stopped there Tuesday, I think it was. I was out plowing, no, it was Thursday, last week, Thursday. I just stopped by. I stayed out of the way, just talked to guys. I said,
so
no,
were you there when the deck was on or no?
No, the deck was not on at the time I was there.
Somebody told me that they put 2 in Cavendish, that they're military bridges, that they disassemble them, and Daniels bought them somehow, and they used
This
this
one is,
guy.
I-beams, big.
I gotta say, this was a couple
I
I-beams.
2x6s or 2x8s standing on edge all the way across, and then guardrails. It's like a forestry one.
Yep.
I thought it was gonna be one of those decks
Yeah.
myself. I sat there with a crane, but they did it a different way. Anyway, that's what I had on that.
Yep.
I also have a request for ARPA funding, but I don't know when to ask. So.
Sometime before
I just wanna
26.
throw something out there.
For highway?
For highway. There's 2 things at highway. Brandon and I are working on a gutter system, the new roof pushes the water to the outside. Eventually, we're going to have to have a gutter tonight. My door fall out. No fault of anybody's, just we're gonna need a gutter. The other thing is, for about 5-7 years, we've been talking about putting an addition on the north end of the building to store all our oils and flammables to get them out of the building. We don't have a sprinkler system. We want to put a lean-to roof around, all across the whole backside, have concrete floor on half of it, and have it enclosed, and our waste oil, all our oils, paints, everything will be stored out in that area, and you have a brick wall, but concrete wall between the shop and these flammables to protect the building.
I got a question for you. When I remember when we did the, this comes from the earlier discussion on Weathersfield. When we did the building assessments, I remember some damage to what would be the south side,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
What's the plan for fixing that?
We haven't got any estimates or anything. The concrete blocks are all
For-
turned
yeah.
to dust.
Yeah, there's a mess there.
I'll just offer this. We're still on the meeting, right?
Yes,
Put it really-
yeah, we're under other
I
business.
just want to give you guys a heads up. I don't want to shock you later on. and say,
Yeah, but I'm gonna shock you. I think that if you, and if I can get on the page, and I don't know that I can or can't, with the town maybe getting in the excavator business, that I think you should not think about putting on a little, like a lean-to, like you just said, rather. I would support thinking of a different bay for the garage. I don't like it that we have things that are outdoors. I don't like the 3 cruisers that are outside. I don't like the, every time we buy a new fire truck, it can barely fit in one of the houses. And I do not see
Having,
where an excavator is gonna fit in the same hole that the backhoe is.
yeah, that's where this will be. The whole north end would have a 24-foot roof, out 24 feet. Half of it will be cement and enclosed, and the other half will be open where we can park things underneath. We're also trying to open up
So is the add-on in the front, or is it on the
the
side?
north narrow skinny end, heading towards Stilton Pond.
So it's a bay. You could put a bay on with garage doors?
Basically.
Yeah. I would think that you would submit a proposal to do something like that, rather than have like a roof line and whatever. I don't know. I mean,
Okay.
the garage is gonna stay there for a very long time, and
Yeah. I did look at adding a bay with like a duplicate of what we got, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be
yeah,
tens of thousands of dollars.
I'm sure it
opposed
is.
to, like 30.
yeah, but that's why we're here.
Would that space be heated for the storage of the
You would
fluids?
have a vent from our furnace,
Okay.
go right through we have a window now. We're gonna close the window with brick and leave one area for the vent to go through
Okay.
and have a damper so that if it does catch on fire, it can't come back into the building.
Okay.
Okay, so
where-
I've got
you've
some,
been to the
all
highway
right.
garage, right?
Thank you.
So
If you guys
where,
want-
like, where the grader is now, though, it seems to be more of a storage area, which is very needed and heated, because some of that stuff you don't want to be like zero either. But if there was another bay where they do quite a bit of self-repair,
Yeah,
even on the side towards Stoughton Pond Road, I think that could be
if we
managed.
got rid of all the oil and everything that's in the shop now, and all the stuff we're storing places, we're gonna free up one bay and actually have a place where we can have a welding station and have more room inside,
Yeah,
where, when you get your plows and wings on, it's pretty darn
yeah,
tight.
exactly.
Anyway, if you guys want me to do a proposal, I will.
Yeah.
I got one person, so I don't know.
I'm up for a proposal.
Yeah, I don't, yes.
Okay, I got
On
some,
bay.
I have tax rate change here.
Tax
Bay?
Yeah, I thought we were gonna look at a bay.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, on a bay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the garage was built in 1973, and the first thing we've done on it lately is put a roof on. We redid the furnace, and I think there'll probably be a proposal coming forward, which is the most important thing, would be a generator. I don't know.
Okay. Back to, I got it right here. So, now we need a motion to amend, the tax rate, correct? Or the, do we need to change this or not? We
Just the articles.
We changed the article, so that changed this. Just so everybody understands, municipal taxes to be raised was $2,508,355. That will drop to $2,408,355. And the fiscal year tax rate will drop, municipal tax rates will drop from 0.7561 to 0.7260. So that is about a penny and a half drop in the tax rate.
3 pennies.
That's,
3.
yes, 3 pennies. 75 to 72, my mistake.
Yes.
It's getting late, I can't count.
Use your fingers next time. No,
All it did was
Don't have enough toes.
not pay cash. All it did was not pay cash for something, that's all, and it was just fine. For
that's-
this year, I don't know who said it, but
Well,
Ray said it.
It also has a different effect on where the funding comes from, because we increased the amount that would be borrowed by 50,000, which will
Yes.
allow the reserve accounts to either stay stable
Exactly right.
or do something else.
Take less of them.
Yes, either way. So that is done. Anything else under other business? Ray, thank you for the discussion on the highway garage and consideration. Yeah, think about all that stuff. Even if we do another bay on the north side, we do have some stuff we got to look at fixing on the south side. I think you're talking about a whole other building, weren't you?
No, a whole big day.
Just one bay, but that would be on the north side?
The Stoughton Pond side, I thought, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be the.
Because that's the
north side.
closest one to the heating system and everything could be utilized, I don't know.
That would be the north side, but that south side is a disaster.
That's
Hey,
$100.
I don't think that's supposed to fall out like
Breaking all the furniture.
wow,
100, please.
not supposed to stand on it.
He didn't pass go.
Anyway, okay,
I don't think there's screws in it. Like.
Motion to adjourn.
future agenda items.
Yep,
Brandon, you all set with future agenda items?
Yeah, I'm all set. I had everything.
I
Okay,
second that.
motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and Kelly logged off earlier.
Have a
but
nice vacation.